I used to think this was a smart move. If my mortgage payment is close to my rent, I should buy. A lot of good people think that. It feels simple, it feels grown up, and it can feel like you're finally doing the right thing. But that one idea can quietly lead to the same story I've seen again and again. You buy the house, you move in excited, and then you wonder why money feels tighter every single month. Here's what's going on. Rent is one clean number. You pay it, and it's gone. A mortgage payment is not one clean number. Part of it is a true cost, and part of it is money you keep in your own pocket later. So when people compare rent to a mortgage payment, they are comparing two different things. It's a trap that makes buying look cheaper than it really is. In this video, I'm going to give you a simple rule you can use to compare renting and buying the right way. It's called the 5% rule, and I'm going to explain it in plain language, using real-life examples and updated thinking for today's world. And in a minute, I'll show you the one hidden cost most people forget to count, because that one cost can flip the whole answer. Here's the one idea that makes this whole choice simple. We should compare money that is gone forever. If the money is gone and you don't get it back later, that's a real cost. That's what we compare. With renting, it's easy. Your rent is gone. You pay it, and it does not come back. With owning, it's mixed. Some of the money you pay is gone, and some of it is not. This is where most people get tricked. When you send a mortgage payment, part of that payment is interest, which is gone, but another part is principal. Principal is money you keep because it turns into home equity. So a mortgage payment is not the same as rent. It only feels the same because it leaves your bank account the same way. And in the next part, I'll show you the 3 to 4 hidden costs that make owning look cheaper than it really is. Now that we know what to compare, let's list what really leaks money when you own a home. These are costs that don't show up as one clean number on your mortgage bill, but they are still real. First, property tax. You pay it and it's gone. Next, repairs and upkeep. Things break, wear out, and need fixing. That money is gone too. Then, home insurance. You need it, you pay it, and it's gone. And finally, interest plus the money you could have earned if your down payment stayed invested somewhere else. That last part is easy to miss, but it matters. Now, quick myth check. Equity is real, and it can be a good thing, but equity is not the same as your monthly cost. In the next chapter, we turn these leaks into one easy rule you can do on a phone. If we can turn these leaks into one number, the decision gets clearer fast. Here's the shortcut that makes this fair. It's called the 5% rule. The goal is not to predict the future. The goal is to compare renting and buying using the same kind of number, a rent-like cost. The rule says, take the home price, multiply it by a percent, then divide by 12. Home price times percent divided by 12. That gives you a monthly cost that behaves more like rent because it focuses on the money that is mostly gone. And I want to say this clearly because this is where people slip. This is not your mortgage payment. Your mortgage payment includes money you keep. This rule is trying to measure the costs you don't get back. So why do people call it the 5% rule? Because 5% is a simple starting point that tries to cover the main leaks we listed: taxes, repairs, insurance, and the cost of using money for a home instead of somewhere else. When you do that math, you get a number you can compare to rent in a clean way. And that's the big win. It turns an emotional decision into a clear test. But here's the twist, and this matters a lot today. The percent is not always 5%. In some places and in some years, 5% can be too low. I'll show you how to adjust it so it fits real life. The rule is simple. The real skill is picking the right percent for your life, because that percent moves. It changes when mortgage rates change. It changes when property taxes are higher in your county. It changes when home insurance jumps in your zip code. And it changes when repairs cost more, which they often do. This is why a low monthly payment does not always mean a low cost. A payment can look fine on paper, while the hidden leaks quietly raise the real price of owning. And here's an identity check. If you see yourself as a careful money person, you don't guess this number. You test it. You look up your local tax rate. You get an insurance quote. You set a real repair budget. You check the rate on the loan you'd actually get. Then you build your percent from that. That's how you stay calm and clear instead of being pulled around by headlines and opinions. Next, we'll run one real example that makes most people stop and rethink, because when you see the numbers side by side, the rent or buy answer can flip fast. Numbers make this real, so let's walk through one clean example. Let's make this real with one simple story and one simple test.
Say you're looking at a home that costs $500,000. And let's say after you add up your percent for taxes, repairs, insurance, and the cost of the loan, your rent-like cost comes out to about $3,200. Remember, this is not your mortgage payment. This is the money that leaks out each month when you own. Now we compare it to rent. First case, rent is $2,800. That rent is below $3,200. So in this case, rent wins on money, and you can feel it before we even label it. You're paying $400 less each month for the same basic need, housing, while keeping flexibility. That gap is not magic. It's not a guarantee of anything. It's just a real gap you can choose to use well.
Second case, same home, same $3,200 rent-like cost. But now rent in that area is $3,500 for a place that's similar. Now rent is above the rent-like cost. In this case, buying can win on money, because your leak costs are lower than what you'd be paying to rent. That doesn't mean you must buy, it just means the math is not working against you the way it was in the first case. Same house price, same rule, different rent market, different answer. And this is why the simple "my mortgage equals rent" idea fails so often. It ignores the real comparison. Now, the part most videos skip, the boss cost that hit when you move. Because even if the monthly math looks close, one last layer can flip the answer. Here's that last layer. Buying is costly to undo. In real life, people don't always stay put as long as they think they will. A job changes, a parent gets sick, a divorce happens, a new baby arrives, or you simply realize the commute is draining you, so you sell sooner than planned. And when you sell, you can face big one-time costs, fees, closing costs, moving costs, fixing things before you list the home. Even if the home price went up, those costs can eat a lot of the gain, especially over a short time. So the simple rule of thumb is this: time matters a lot. The shorter your time in the home, the more those one-time costs matter. The longer you stay, the more time you have to spread those costs out. No hype here, just real life. That's why two people can buy the same home and have totally different results based on how long they stay and what life throws at them. So what should you do if renting wins on money? Here's the dividend hustle move. If the math says renting wins on money, the next question is simple. What do you do with the gap? Because renting can feel like I have nothing to show for it, and that feeling pushes people to buy too early for the wrong reason. But here's the truth. Renting only feels empty if you let the extra money disappear. The dividend hustle move is to invest the gap on purpose. Not to get rich fast, not to beat anyone, just to build your own asset on the side month after month, the same way a home builds equity over time. Here's a simple plan. Pick a dollar amount that matches the gap, even if it's small. Set it to move automatically every month right after payday into a basic long-term investment account. Think a basket of many good companies, not a single risky bet. Keep it boring, keep it steady, and don't treat it like spending money. This is you paying yourself first. No promises, no guarantees, just a clean habit that gives renting a real future payoff. Before we wrap, I'll give you a 30-second checklist you can use today so you don't have to guess on rent versus buy ever again. Let's make this practical, fast. Here's the checklist. Step 1, write down the home price you're thinking about. Step 2, write down your rent. Step 3, add up your best estimate for the leak percent. Property tax, repairs, insurance, and the cost of money. Step 4, do the quick math. Home price times that percent, then divide by 12. That's your rent-like monthly cost to own. Step 5, compare it to your rent. If rent is clearly lower, renting is the lighter money choice. If rent is clearly higher, buying may be the lighter money choice. Step 6, ask one more question. How likely are you to move in the next few years? Because the shorter your stay, the more buying costs can bite. Now I want to hear from you. Comment this. What's your rent? What home price are you targeting? And what state are you in? Just those 3 things. And if you want, add how long you think you'll stay. I'll read the comments and I'll pull a few real examples for a follow-up.